Chesapeake Bay Retriever. I've owned 2 of them. 2. Nothing like a Labrador. I just weighed myself 140. It's with clothes on. So I lost a little bit of weight. Just, you know, I'm not fat, but I do have a belly now. And it bums me out. I'm old. So is Ike. Aren't you, Ike? All right, so the thing in Ike's mouth, that was fine. That's no big deal. Something I've seen in boxers. She even mentioned that. Oh, boxers get those a lot. I can't remember what it's called, but it's nothing. If he has a problem with it, we'll remove it. It's just sort of like this growth that goes around the tooth. She said it's nothing. The big thing is we're getting a blood workup done to check see if he has hypothyroidism, because his hair isn't like growing back. That could be it. And she showed me pictures in a book that looks sort of like Ike's hair loss. So he might have hypothyroidism. We'll see. And if that's the case, then we'll give him a pill a day. Maybe his skin will get better, you know? Maybe his hair will get better. Doesn't matter, it's Ike, you know. Check this out. See all that wood down there? See those holes that go up there? That's from a woodpecker. This is no shit. I saw the woodpecker doing it. I've caught the woodpecker out here doing it. He's destroying this tree. It's the truth. I mean, it's a lot of damage in a very short period. I'm not shitting, man. I couldn't believe it. I'm looking at this. You know, he just started doing that recently, and I mean, it's unbelievable. Look at what it's doing down here. Look at that. That's fucking crazy. I just saw him fly away. It's a red-headed woodpecker. He's beating the shit out of the tree. Now there's this area here, and you can see there's like bug holes. I guess that's what he goes for. Yeah, there's larvae. Right? It's unbelievable though. But down here, it just looks like he's putting a hole in the tree. I mean, that's pretty deep. You know, I'll leave so he can go back to his woodpecker ways. It's crazy though, man. It's a great looking bird. I saw the woodpecker out on this tree. You see that hole up there? He was here like 2 weeks ago, something like that. I mean, he's almost made it all the way through. That's a large branch. I had no idea the woodpeckers were so destructive. I didn't. I knew that they would, you know, go for stuff in a tree, but I didn't know that they would just want to fucking, you know, destroy a tree. That's what that one's trying to do. I like him. I like the woodpecker more than I like a tree, that's for sure. I don't know what's with Mennonites and donuts, but on the way here, I see Mennonites selling fresh donuts. And then now in the parking lot over here by Tractor Supply, they're selling their fresh donuts. I don't like donuts that much. Fuck it. I don't want your donuts, Mennonite person. Where's your hot older sister? Where's your 21-year-old sister in her little outfit? I might go buy a donut if it was a hot Mennonite girl. The girl that works at the pharmacy is adorable. Seriously. It's a snack treat. I'll tell you, I've noticed in Walmart today there's a lot of Mennonite people. I don't really see any Mennonite hotties, you know, with that sexy bonnet and shit. It's pretty hot. It is, if you like that kind of thing. Tell you what, the older Mennonite women, now this is just me, and wearing the black, that might mean that their husband died. I don't know. Maybe not. They look scary, like the old women. Children of the corn, you know what I'm saying? out of chicken for the dogs, you know. I'm keeping Ike on pork. He's definitely, his skin is better. We're also testing him for hypothyroid, which would explain a lot. It would. But he's definitely better on pork, so pork loin for sure. I just had somebody walk by and say, "Love your videos, man." It happens more up here than it does in Brooklyn. It does. I don't know if they like the Bigfoot or dog training, but it is a compliment, and I do say thank you. I appreciate it. Sort of addicted to these things. It's a problem. Seriously. One thing that I did buy when I was, since I've been in Walmart, is this, which costs $5. That's to test to find out if I'm a diabetic. It's something that hasn't been checked. I went to a doctor recently, but that's not something that so I'm gonna do it for $5. Native American in me, diabetes, alcoholism, all that shit that's in the Native American community, I have. All family history, like, of all that stuff, you know. Now, I did test my blood sugar years ago. My old girlfriend, she had a dog that had had pancreatic cancer, so we were testing that dog constantly. I tested myself, it was about 120, which is high, but I'd just eaten a bunch of sugar. So it's probably good I'm checking this. So I just checked my my blood sugar. It was 117, which isn't, it was 120 as I remember years ago, so it's right in line. It says that I'm okay. If it's above 600, you got a problem, right? I'm at 117, so I guess I'm not diabetic, you know. That's good. I don't know, I'll keep an eye on it though. My grandfather had diabetes, but he also had other issues too, you know. He's a great guy, supposedly. That's what I understand, like he was the nicest guy. But Roy had diabetes. He also was an alcoholic. And I remember my grandmother saying something to me like, my brother was becoming a minister, and he went to Columbia, and when he was being ordained or whatever it is, you know, he's up there on a stage kneeling, you know. I was looking at my my sister-in-law at the time. My brother's gay, but he was married. I'm going, this is the weirdest shit I've ever seen. Anyway, my grandmother was there, and I had quit drinking, you know, not really quit drinking, but I was trying to quit. This was years and years ago. And my grandmother said something like, your mother said you're trying to quit drinking, you know, that'd be a good thing, you know, it killed Roy. And I said, well, Roy had diabetes. I thought that the diabetes got him. And she said, well, he was diabetic, but it was the alcoholism that, you know, made everything just so much worse. So, you know, I'm glad I got about the same blood sugar as I did when I was, you know, 8 years ago. It's pretty much the same, you know. I should have a better diet though, but this is sort of a relief, you know. You know, I don't even know if the doctor had checked that. He might have checked that. He took some blood. I don't know. He probably checked it. I was just thinking about that. It's one thing. I don't want any problems, you know. It's better to like know, you know, than not know. You know, if you're diabetic and you know it, you can take, there's a lot of different things that you can take now, you know. I never understood a type 2 diabetes. What the fuck is that? I guess some people are born needing insulin. right? Like they're born. That's type 1. And type 2, I think you acquire later in life. You know, maybe my dad said a year or two before he passed, he didn't pass of that, he had some kind of weird thyroid thing, which was like really, not that unusual, it's just unusual. Young people don't get it. It was something that seniors get, like really old seniors, and it's not anything that's treatable. It's like a thyroid cancer that is not treatable, where thyroid cancer is pretty treatable, you know. But this one is not. Like if you're 85 and you have a thyroid problem, you know, you might end up like my dad, which was, he had about 2.5, 3 months warning, you know. They took it out, they took the thyroid out to give him some extra time, or see if it would give him some extra time, but it didn't. You know, it went pretty quick. Anyway, so I'm not diabetic, but to get checked, $15. I thought that those glucose meters were 100 or something. They really come down in price. I mean, the one that we used with Lacey was the good one, of course, you know. But the $5 one works just as good, so it works. If you're curious, if you have diabetes, you can go get a test. You can get tested for all kinds of shit now by just going to the pharmacy. You can get your cholesterol checked too. You can keep an eye on your cholesterol. You know, wish they had a colon screening test you didn't have to get from your doctor. That's to get a one of those. That's not an upper GI. That's a lower GI. That's expensive. That's expensive. I think that some organization makes colon screening available for a nominal price, like $1,500, which is not, you know, it's something, you know, that I hate to come up with, but it's cheaper than whatever it would cost. I don't know what it would cost. It'd be outrageous, I'm sure. They knock you out, you have a doctor's time for, you know, whatever it is, 45 minutes, you know, whatever, however long it takes. You know, you got a nurse in there, an anesthesiologist, that's gonna be $8,000 or some shit. You know, $1,500's reasonable. I know that this hates a lot of, I know that a lot of GOP conservatives hate hearing this, but the older I am, the more I see that it's necessary that everybody should have health care. You know, and everybody should have the same health care. There's just no reason not to, you know. Universal health care or something like that? Come on. We end up paying anyway, you know. It's just like, you know, if somebody doesn't have insurance and they go to the emergency room, it costs everybody a fucking fortune, okay? So how does it make sense? It seems to work for Canada. It works for the UK, Sweden, Norway. I have a friend from Norway. I haven't seen her in a while. I should contact her, see how she is. But she was, she loves the health care that they have, you know? She was asking me if, you know, like, if you marry me, then you could come over and get like a hip replacement, you know? Not like really marry, but just marry me for the health care. But I'll tell you something, when she offered it, I thought about it and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because I live in the United States. I'd have to go over there. It's not feasible to do something like that, you know? Even back then, I had birds and some dogs. It's not feasible for me to be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna skip out for a few months, get a hip replacement. That's that's not going to work, you know? It's just not going to work. So at this point, I've had the bad hip for so many years and the bad knees, I'm just going to put up with it for the rest of my life. I don't want to get operated on. Screw it. I'd rather be in pain, I think. I would. Than have my leg fucking cut off. That's what they fucking do. They cut your fucking leg off, and then they cut that ball off, and then they give you a new socket. That doesn't sound like fun. It's strange that that'll get rid of pain, but it does. I don't know. I'm not too wild about getting operated on, that's for sure. No thanks. I'm not into it. I'm a pussy. I don't like needles. Just to prick my finger for the blood test or whatever. You know, that was an ordeal. I don't like needles, man. I'd be a terrible junkie, you know? If I was a junkie, I'd have to, like, snort it. You know, there's no way I'd put a needle in my arm, you know? Although, I know people that got addicted to heroin, and they all said the same thing. It was like, you know, I never thought I'd do something like that until the day I did it. You know, like one day you wake up and you're addicted. That's how it was with booze, with me. Although the first time I took a drink, I was like, oh yeah, I like it. I like the feeling. It sort of like woke me up. You know, it got me going. So I knew pretty much early on that I was probably an alcoholic. But I mean, there's a difference between thinking you're an alcoholic and waking up going, oh, I'm addicted to this, and it's impossible to get off of it, you know? Which it wasn't impossible to get off of it. I just had to... What I did was I woke up one day and I said, what? My life is miserable. What is the one thing that I can do? What is the one thing that I can do to change my life right at this moment in my life to make my life better? What is the worst thing that I do? I drink. And that's I was like, fuck it. I think I waited another 3 days or something, and I just stopped. I was like, fuck it, you know? This is just horrible. My life is miserable, you know? I'm tied into booze. You know, every day I woke up, I was like, fuck, you know, oh, I have a day off, I get to drink. You know? I'd drink at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'd wake up if I had a day off. I'd drink and make art or something. But the thing of it is even when I drank, I wouldn't make as much art. There would be all this time just sitting and looking at what I made, drinking, you know, contemplating the thing. That's not being productive. That shit zaps your production level. Booze. It is not necessary. It's a fucking downer, man. I honestly, I cannot think of a situation where I would ever want to drink again. I can't. Like, why would I want to do that? It ruined my life. It did. It was ruining my life. It ruined my life as much as art does, you know. Art's another habit. It's an addiction. I told a shrink this years ago. I was telling her about how I make art and how, like, I'm compulsive about it. Like, yeah, I'll go to sleep at a point and then I'll wake up and, like, go right into the studio and start working. Like, I'd do that before I took a pee. I'd go in there and look at what I made. You know, that's how I am. Like, I gotta go check this out first. Oh, okay, everything's good. Now I'll go take a leak. She said that's very unhealthy. I don't think that you should make art. And if you do, you should really limit how you do it. Needless to say, I never talked to her again. I mean, come on, it's like the one thing that it's one of the things that I got going for me. It's like I can make art. I wasn't going to quit making art. That was an absurd thing to say to somebody like me, you know? I know, I'm obsessive about it. I'm compulsive about making it. I get it. That's what makes me a good artist. Now, I don't have, you know, as much fame as a lot of artists. This is true. But that doesn't mean that my production level isn't as high. It is. I can put up a show if a museum, I'm bragging right now, but it's the truth. If the Whitney Biannual called me and they said, we want you to do an installation, you have 1 month to make it, right? I'll fucking crank it out. I will fucking crank it out, and I'll make it as good as I can make it, you know, trying to create that wow factor of like, wow, what the fuck did I just see? That's what I want people to do when they see one of my installations. Like, what the fuck was that? You know? Like, how'd he do that? Something like that. Not all the time. My last show with the Trump sculptures, that was something different. That was totally different. Unless you're like, well, how did he get them to move, to make the things move? Which was sort of obvious. You know, that was air pistons, but... Okay, I'm starting on the kitchen area, and what I had here was 2 things of paneling, wood paneling, right? Painted, it looked horrible. Then I had drywall, right? And then under the drywall, I had 5 or 6 layers of wallpaper, right? And this house is very old. It was built in the 1800s. Some of it, like this one, the top one, feels like it's like cloth. But what I'm doing is I'm going to get all this off, right? And what this is tongue and groove. There was insulation here too, right? So this originally went to just the outside. God, this house must have been cold as shit. Seriously. It must have been freezing in this house during the winter. Of course, they used 1 layer of, where is it, newspaper down here. You can see that they're using newspaper to, like, seal cracks, you know? That's what they did on the floors, too. That there was, like, newspaper, then floor tiling, you know? Insulation. So I'm taking this off. I'm going down to the tongue and groove. When I get the tongue and groove, then I'm going to sand the tongue and groove. I'm going to keep that as the wall. Yes, I know that there's spaces, but this doesn't go to the outside. So I'm going to use this to just strictly, you know, take advantage of the wood. And, you know, it's got a decorative quality to it. It's tongue and groove wood. What am I going to do, cover it up? No, hell no. And in my living room, it's just sort of a continuation of the barn look. This is a pain in the ass having these sunflower seeds inside. It is. It's a fucking pain in the ass. I'm trying to work. This is the bay window I'm working on. I had to stop working on it. It sucks, but if I would have had these outside, they would definitely be dead. It's freezing in Beaver Dams. We had a hard freeze this morning. I think it was 30 degrees. It would have killed them. It was snowing today. It's the 29th. It's the 29th of April, and it's fucking snowing. It's fucked up. My peach trees, last year, I believe that they bloomed on the 23rd. Still nothing. We don't have none of the cherry trees, none of the peach trees, nothing has bloomed. It's fucked up. I'm sick of it. I am. I'm sick of it. Bring on the summer. Seriously. I make a wall of sunflowers. I do it a lot of years. It's like a privacy fence. I'm thinking I might leave some of this on the wall. I'm being serious. I'm thinking that I'll take more off. But some of the wallpaper and some of the newspaper, I'm going to sort of glue down with polyurethane. Remember, this is my house, not your house, okay? So I'm going to glue it down, and then on top of that, then I'm going to do a mural. That'll be the backdrop. It's going to look nice. It's really beautiful. I mean, like, if you look at that, like look at that old wallpaper. It'll look good. This is my house, remember? it's gonna look good. I can paint. Sure, why not? I've never tried, but this will be my first attempt at painting, and I'm gonna paint a mural on this wall. Maybe I can do it, maybe I can't, but I'm gonna try.